Welcome to the Sports Note for Monday, December 12th. One of the uh, most historic college football games of the year happened on Saturday, and I don't mean that from the standpoint of something monumental occurred, but it was something that we'd never seen in nearly 125 years of one of the most storied rivalries in all of college sports, and that would be the Army Navy game. Statistically, the Army Navy game is one of the five or six highest rated games of the entire year. Naturally, you've got your national championship, you got your Rose Bowl, you've got the Ohio State Michigan game. You can throw, in recent years you can throw Georgia Alabama in there. You can throw the Florida Georgia outdoor cocktail party in there. Notre Dame USC is always very highly rated, but Army Navy, even though neither team has really had kind of conference or national championship expectations in decades, it's still the game that the nostalgia purpose of it is one that you always come back to. It's very kind of Cal Stanford in that ways, is that you don't really know a whole lot of the players. If you certainly could know somebody who went there, was involved with the game. You know the storied history of the game and all the great moments that have occurred over the years, most of which probably not in your lifetime, but it's still something that you've got to tune in for a little bit, and that's what we got this weekend out of Army Navy. A win by Army in this one, which actually marks 5 of the last 7 meetings that the Black Knights have come out victorious over the midshipmen, although you would never tell, considering this year it looked more like Oregon versus the Montreal Alouettes with the fact that they changed their uniforms up for this special game. And considering Army rattling off 5 out of 7 in this one after Navy had a 14-game winning streak and won like 17 out of 19 dating back to the late 90s, is showing something here. But we got something in Saturday's game that we'd not seen in 122 previous meetings, and that was overtime. Remember that the NCAA didn't go to overtime until the start of the 1996 season. So for these two teams to play that often, and also for these two teams to play over nearly for 25 years, essentially 25 plus years after they go to overtime, and they still haven't gone to overtime until then. There have been ties in there, but that's just absolutely amazing that we've never seen that before out of these two teams. It was something that it was definitely not a game to write home about. There were 18 punts. The 19th punt, not overall, but technically 19 punt attempts, 18 successful punts, because that one failed punt attempt, Army blocked the punt and then returned it for their only touchdown of the game in regulation. The majority of actually the scoring came in the 2 overtime periods, because yes, this went to double overtime. The unfortunate aspect is Navy ended up fumbling on the 1 yard line going in for a touchdown in the second overtime period, and Army was able to kind of kick a field goal and walk off, and the fans end up storming the field. But this is also a game where the game is secondary. You tune into Army Navy, you attend Army Navy, you're involved with Army Navy, and football is the last thing. It's the number one distraction, because it's the last thing that anyone honestly should be caring about with the young men and women, not only in the stands but also on the sidelines and more and especially on the field here. And to an extent, you can say that same thing every time that Army, Navy, or Air Force, any combination of the two, lock horns, where the the Commander-in-Chief trophy can be either decided or moved up and down with the standings. But your heart has to go out to the Navy running back who who fumbled that late in the game, and it was running back Anton Smith Jr. who was visibly distraught after the game. It reminded you very much of Ernest Biner for the Cleveland Browns fumbling at the 2-yard line in the 1987 AFC Championship game. Those of you old enough to remember that, whether you're a Cleveland sports fan or not, because it was actually played on an endless loop for 20 years, 25, 30 years at that point. The matter of these two teams still hooking up at the end of the year, it comes after the conference championships and the bowl matchups have all been decided, and considering the fact that if one of these teams ends up qualifying for a bowl, chances are it's one of the early bowl games in the ESPN series, so they've got a quick turnaround. They don't have 4 weeks to be able to rest, because if one of these teams actually would have been in one of those earlier bowls, they would have actually had to turn around with this game being on Saturday the 10th, and then they've got a little over 10 days. They've got no less than 10 days to prepare, but it's certainly not going to be something where they're, neither one of these teams are BCS bound, have not been anywhere close to that. And Army is one of 7 independents in all of college football. As of next year, that's actually diminishing to 4, because you've got BYU joining the Big 12 after next season when Texas and Oklahoma leave for the SEC, and then you're also going to see New Mexico State, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It was New Mexico State and BYU. I'm sorry, BYU we already discussed here. You're actually going to see New Mexico State and Liberty head to Conference USA. So for Malik Willis, 1 year actually, Tulane could have actually played for a conference championship, instead of being the backup to Ryan Tannehill with the Tennessee Titans. The other historic thing about this game that a lot of people fail to realize is, yes, Philadelphia is the kind of the de facto home for this game, with 90 matchups being played out of the 122 out of the 123. But this is also a game. It's the only game that rotates on a routine basis. This game on Saturday in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field is going to be the last time that they're in Philadelphia until 2027, because they're going to be playing in Foxborough, Massachusetts. They're going to be playing home of the Patriots. They're going to be playing in Landover, Maryland. They're going to be playing in Baltimore. They're going to even be playing at the Meadowlands. So they're going to actually be doing the Northeast type of NFL tour the next few years. And who's also to say that game also doesn't start branching out to possibly other stadiums. It goes on a road trip, kind of like how the NFL draft has done in recent years with a host city. It'd be kind of cool to actually maybe see these teams hook up at Cleveland Browns Stadium. It'd be cool to see them at Ford Field. It'd be cool to see them. Naturally we've got the Meadowlands. See them maybe in Carolina, maybe down in Florida, maybe in Jerry's place 1 year in Dallas, because there's not a place that you can go that's not going to have some sort of tie to this game. Certainly, I can even tell you with Cleveland that there's a branch of the of Defense Finance and Accounting Systems, and also with the military, that operates a federal building out of downtown Cleveland, and it's one of the main processing facilities. My mother actually works in that facility, and she'll be retiring at the end of the year. So I actually spent a little bit of time working as a civilian in that building. So it's definitely something I'd kind of like to see. maybe actually allow some of these kids to warm up a little bit, considering with their conditions, they're probably not sitting inside a classroom and then able to kind of go home and do things that I certainly don't want to deter from what they do, but the normal college life experience. When you sign up for the military academy, life is no longer normal in terms of what everyone else thinks normal is. Your normal is certainly what their normal is not considered, and certainly vice versa, and deservedly so. They're going on exercises. They're going on their routine is entirely different than anything that we can think of here. And to have one weekend, one Saturday after all the hustle and bustle of the conference championships and the chaos and everything has simmered down, one weekend devoted exclusively to the Army-Navy game and a handful of other football games kind of falling outside of the normal scheduling process, so to speak. It's very well deserved, because these young men certainly deserve a stage of their own. So let me know what you guys think. Did you guys catch the game? Are you more go Army, or are you more beat Navy? Do you have stake in this game? So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to be able to hear your comments here on this. And don't forget, the Wise Guys year-end show is going to be this Saturday night, live at 9 p.m. On our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ the Wise Guys Sports Show. That'll actually be interesting, because we're not planning on talking sports, but the Cleveland Browns are actually going to be playing Saturday afternoon. So that game is just going to be wrapping up just before we're going to be going live on air. And I know Mike and I, if we get the result that we're expecting, are going to be able to revel in the fact of the Browns getting officially knocked out of the playoffs. And Christmas isn't even here yet. So I will see you guys hopefully a little later on this week with another sports note. But if not, certainly join us Saturday night on the Wise Guys. Take care. Everyone stay safe. I know that there's some bad weather going to be coming up the Northeast here, and certainly as you get into Mike's neck of the woods in New York and up the seaboard here. So everyone take care. And again, we hope to see you this weekend.